What's up, everybody? Welcome back to UFC Roundup. Oh my goodness, Michael, UFC 278 and new Leon Edwards is the champion of the welterweight division, your division. It was a crazy night, crazy co-main event, followed up by a crazy head kick knockout in the 5th round against the reigning champion, Kamaru Usman. It was a wild pay-per-view and a wild way to cap it off. I just sat there in my seat late at night here, babies with Christine, Ashling's in bed going, oh my God, over and over again. What was your reaction? Let's just start off. We're not hide and seek. It's 278. Leon Edwards with that head kick. Michael, what went through your head?
Well, before I dive into the new welterweight champion, I want to talk about the new member of the Felder clan real quick. I want to say, Paul, congratulations. Ruby has entered the world. Number 2, we got another little dragon amongst the Felder family, Paul. So I just want to say congratulations to you and Christine. What a beautiful little girl. And that's got to feel good, man. So congratulations to you and your family, man. Probably been a pretty busy week for you, I would assume.
It's been a busy one, but things went really smooth. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's back together. The dogs are back. Ashling's back. We're all safe, sound, and moving along. So thank you for that. And yeah, little Ruby Sloan Felder is amongst us now, and she's going to be my athlete. I got my little actress and my artist and Ashling, and now hopefully I'll have a little girl that's going to push the limits of endurance sports, not fighting.
No combat sports. None of that. But no, I mean, back to the fights, man, just a tremendous main event. This is what we love so much about mixed martial arts. That's what keeps us coming back for more. This is the only sport. This is the only spectacle on the planet where somebody could be so far down and out, the score so stacked against them, and they can pull out one play or one move to bring them back from the jaws of defeat to pull off the win. And the commentators had him all but written off. DC was writing the obituary at that point, like, hey, this guy's done. He's just trying to get to the end of the fight. And then, of course, my man John Annik slides in with the, hey, Leon Edwards ain't cut from that cloth. He's not here just to go the distance like Rocky Balboa. Leon Rocky Edwards was there to win the fight. And with a minute left, he just fires off that beautiful left head kick, mash behind the left straight. A strike that I was surprised I didn't see him throw earlier on in the fight. I think that, I was really surprised first, obviously, way before the head kick. Just the transaction in that first round when he got the takedown, the outside trip, gets this nice chair sit, seatbelt. He's got the back of the champ, something we don't see. The first time Kamaru has ever been taken down in his UFC career. So it's like just that alone already kind of was like, wow, this fight, this isn't going to be one-way traffic. But then the next 3 rounds, Kamaru just did what Kamaru does. He laid the pressure on thick. I think you could see the altitude get into Leon a little bit because throughout the night we saw a lot of these guys kind of fade. You don't see guys step in the octagon and really gas out that often, and you could see a lot.
Not that quick either.
Not that quick, and a lot of guys were struggling with the elevation issues. And then we get to that 5th round, and Kamaru's a champ. I'm not saying this to discredit him or to speak poorly of him, but I just think maybe he got a little too comfortable. It's just when you're just kind of having your way with a guy like that, the way he was effortlessly getting the takedowns and just kind of pressuring Leon against the fence, I think maybe his senses weren't as heightened as they were after that first round. And Leon capitalized, man. That's why we love mixed martial arts, is moments like that.
It really is. It's unlike any other sport, right? Stick and ball, like we love football, we love baseball, all these sports in the world, but there's something about 2 athletes going head to head. Everything's on the line, and the only person that you are relying on to get that victory is yourself and what is inside of you. What can you pull out of yourself? What motivates you? How deep are you willing to go? And like you said, everybody was writing him off, was canceling him out. And just the timing, I mean, the highlight of that is going to live on in infamy because John is trying to support and back up Leon just as he lands possibly the greatest upset, the best head kick, especially with the circumstances. Joe was talking about it over and over again. I mean, that's the greatest head kick in UFC history because of everything that was behind that. It's the end of a 5-round championship fight. You've been getting dominated in the wrestling department for the last 3.5 rounds, and then you land that beautiful head kick. It just doesn't get any better than that. I'm glad I didn't fall asleep. I can tell you that. It's late here on the East Coast. And I even said to Christine afterwards, I'm like, oh man, I would have been so upset at myself because that's one of those things that you want to witness right then and right there. You don't want to see it the next day. I mean, it's still good, but you're going to hear about that head kick. I'm not going to wake up on Sunday morning and not know that Leon Edwards has become the welterweight champion of the world. So just, I think we got to give a big shout out to Leon, and I'm curious to see how this plays out. Does the immediate rematch happen? Where does it happen? I heard there's rumors. Dana's talking about, which stadium was it over?
Wembley.
I mean, come on, man.
Sheesh.
Come on, dude.
That'd be
And that just makes me have all the feels for Leon, right? The guy has busted his ass to get to this point and has had a lot of bad luck recently, right? Like things have not really been stacking up for him. He's been deserving of this shot for a long time, been on this win streak, but things just kept falling by the wayside and not happening. There you go, Leon. The coin has flipped, my man. And now you've got to take that. And in that rematch, you've got to know how that pressure felt. You've got to know where your mind was going in that fight, because he did look a little defeated before he pulled out that head kick. Now he's got to go back to the drawing board and just keep working that wrestling if he wants to be able to hold on to that belt.
Well, you know what's unfortunate, Paul, as you said, that you're glad you didn't fall asleep. I'm at my sister's wedding. We got the iPad out at the table. And I remember this so vividly. There was 3 minutes left in the 5th round. And my cousin's daughter, so my cousin Chloe, really wanted to go jump on the trampoline. And I'm like, okay, let's wait for the fight to get over. And then the 3-minute mark that was left in the 5th, I was like, all right, this fight's over. I'll go jump on the trampoline.
No.
So I'm jumping on the trampoline. And then everybody's like, oh my God, and jumps up. And I'm like, you guys are messing with me. Like, I just thought it was a big joke. So I like do that to everybody. And as I'm walking up to the table, the first thing I see on the iPad is that picture that's circling the internet right now of Kamaru laying at the ceiling lights. That is the first thing I saw. And I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are not messing me. And it's like, you can see the outline of the octagon in Kamaru's eyes. And that's the first thing I saw. And I was like, wow, I really walked away and missed such a great moment in mixed martial arts. I'm like, no. Oh man. What I just explained to you, I just went against how I'm like, oh, you gotta, a fight isn't over until it's over. And I just thought Leon was on his way out. So I'm jumping on the trampoline, having a heyday. And
I was ready to walk upstairs and go to bed. I mean, I was either going to fall asleep and stay on the chair for a while, or I was going to go make my way back up to the bedroom. And same thing. I couldn't believe it. But we got to talk. Where does that rank in just greatest UFC moments in history? I mean, this is a tough conversation for us to just kind of spitfire right now, but I'd say easily that has to be top 3, top 5 of the greatest moments. I mean, especially, Leon, Jamaican born, UK fighter now representing England. We haven't had a champion other than Michael Bisping, who's been retired and working on the broadcast side of things for a while. And with all the momentum that's going on with all these UK fighters, and the fact that Dana went right back to London twice in a year, I mean, those shows are crazy already. Now, if we can have Leon as a champion, it's going to be mind blowing over there. No matter where in Europe we go, they're going to be sellout, just barn burner nights of fights. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either. I put that moment of Leon capturing the welterweight title is definitely top 5, no problem. I mean, I put that up there with Matt Serra knocking out George St. Pierre, with Ronda Rousey getting upset by Holly Holm. I mean, that falls into such a prestigious category of amazing moments we've seen in the UFC. And the one thing I love about it being a competitor in the welterweight division is it kind of turns the division up on its head, because now as we're heading into next weekend, or not next weekend, next pay-per-view, Chimaev and Nate Diaz, and everyone's like, well, Chimaev's going to get the next title shot if he beats Nate. Well, guess what? Slow your roll. Leon Edwards just pulled off one of the biggest upsets that you'll ever see. So now it's like, guys are going to have to wait. And do we see Kamaru fight Leon Edwards in the trilogy? Does Jorge Masvidal come back into the picture? Because there is a great storyline between those two guys. I mean, look, I'm all about guys having to earn their title fights, especially for me. I'm in pursuit of gold myself. It would chap my ass to see Masvidal jump back into a title fight on 2 losses, but we've seen it happen. Or no, 3 losses at that, because he lost to Kamaru twice. But this is mixed martial arts. This is the business we get into. Don't make plans until the dust is settled on a lot of these fights.
That's so true, right? Don't start counting your chickens before they hatch, or whatever that saying is, because man, this sport will make you cry. It will break your heart very quickly. And this is the perfect example. People are already lining up their fights. Who am I going to fight next? And then this goes and happens. But what about Kamaru? I mean, I know that he's deserving of rematches. And the fact, we don't even need to mention it, right? The fact that he can absolutely go and just get that belt right back. There's no question. He's got the skills. He's got the ability to do that. But there was some talk on the broadcast. Well, now the rest, this is the start of the rest of his life and the rest of his career. Because once that happens, now you went from being pound for pound talks, walking around, and listen, justifiably, I'm not saying he shouldn't have been, but man, you're a different person now, because now we're looking at this picture over and over again, right? We're looking at this highlight over and over again. You're going to see that for the rest of your career. You've got to be able to have a thick skin, and I hope that Kamaru is one of those guys, which I believe that he is, to try to push that aside and come back even stronger. But head kick like that could change a man.
Not to mention, not only the fact that he's got to deal with the flack from on social media and just, all of a sudden he looks human again. All of a sudden there's going to be some naysayers. And I think Kamaru has thick skin. I think he can handle the heat in that aspect of things. But from the physical side of things, how do you bounce back from getting knocked out like that? Like, how does that play into your psyche? I believe Kamaru can handle all the outside noise, outside of competition, with everything that's going to come from this loss. But how do you bounce back from the KO itself? That's where we're going to find the measure of the man within Kamaru Usman, is can he put that behind him, have that short-term memory that we always talk about. Whenever you come up short in a fight, the people around you are always saying, hey, short-term memory. The wins got to be short-lived. The losses got to be even shorter-lived. You got to put it behind you. So can Kamaru put that devastating knockout behind him and put his best foot forward going into the third fight? It remains to be seen, but I'm really, really interested to see how this third fight plays out. Plus, Paul, I mean, I hate to keep harping on the elevation situation, but I know Leon Edwards was in great shape heading into that fight, and I just feel like that was something that was playing against him, and that was something that was in Kamaru's favor because he trains in Denver. So a lot of kind of moving parts to this fight that they just had.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder as well, for that third fight, Kamaru, does he come out feeling the pressure of, well, now I've got to come out and try to finish this guy, because we see what happens if I give him any moments to find his timing, because he is a sniper of a striker. Leon needs his timing. He needs his distance. He really is calculated with the way that he approaches. He's not a brawler at all. The guy is very clean kickboxer. So now, do you rush things? Do you try to, it makes that third fight real interesting. Coming out, you're in the blue corner again, man. It's been a long time since he's had to enter the octagon first against somebody like Leon. I can't wait. But I'm just so happy to see the emotions too on Leon calling his mom and all that stuff. It's a great story.
There could be less pressure for Kamaru, though. Could there be less pressure that now that there's not a ton of weight on your shoulders to beat the, I think he was one fight away from beating Anderson Silva's win streak. A lot of
he was going to tie it. He was going to tie it. But now you can't. Now that you're right, that's what's so heartbreaking too, right? You've got all these accolades you're trying to line up. You could tie it, then potentially beat it. Well, now that's all gone.
Yeah,
that's all gone.
Scratch. And not to mention,
from zero.
Not only are you going to be in the blue corner, like that Dana as a promoter wants to capitalize on
that in the UK.
He's going to send Kamaru over across the pond to fight in England. Like, it's going to be really interesting to see how this whole thing plays out with their trilogy fight, because I don't see Kamaru being like, look, I know he's the champ, but I'm not going to England, and I wouldn't blame him for that. I mean, dude, it's like, I remember when we started doing shows in Brazil, how much Brazil was dominating everybody that would go onto their home soil and fight the Brazilians. It was like a thing for a while. Now I feel like it's like that in England, where like if you're fighting an English fighter in England, the odds stack against you in a way that's kind of out of your control. So I'm really interested to see if Kamaru is willing to go over there and fight Leon in his own backyard.
Hold on. It don't matter. Bro, it don't matter. And I'm not saying that to be but when you get head kick KO'd in the 5th round of a title fight, and now that guy is the champion, you go wherever Dana says, listen, this is where the belt's at. Do you want it? If you don't want it, that's fine. You can wait, and we'll give it to X, Y, or Z. But I guarantee you, Dana, like you said, is going to promote the ish out of this thing.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
He's going to take
I'm
what
here
he's
for
got
it, baby.
going on. Yeah. But anyway, we could honestly just do a show on that fight, right?
Yeah.
On Kamaru, on his just legendary status going into that fight. And listen, let's not get it twisted. The dude is a savage still and is going to be coming back hungry for that title. He wants that lifestyle. That's what a big part of that talk was, right? Is now he can wear whatever he wants. He can go into any steakhouse. He wants to keep that life for his family, for himself. He's coming for that belt. And now you've got a guy in Leon who's going to get a taste of that, who came from absolutely nothing as well. Man, I can't wait. Anyway, but speaking of just crazy moments in pay-per-views,
my God.
Luke Rockhold comes back against Paulo Costa and puts on one of the grittiest, dirtiest, grimiest, funniest, awesomest fights that I've seen in a long time. And he didn't win it, but man, you could tell he just wanted to go back in there and do it again. You know what I mean? Like, he just wanted to say some things on the microphone. He wanted to air some things out, and he wanted to go and have a good old fashioned dust up. And he did all of those things, and he smeared his blood all over Paulo Costa.
Luke, come on. What the heck was that?
Maniac,
that was so bogus.
He's a nut. He's a nut.
You know, and this is the thing where I feel like Luke, especially, you know, we know how MMA fans can be pretty hard on him for those last few losses. And a lot of people questioning the chin, the desire, just a lot of questions surrounding Luke Rockhold. And I feel like the way he fought, he won back the hearts of so many fans, because he literally went out there and laid it all on the line. The guy was absolutely exhausted. And look, I know Luke on a very personal level. I know he trained hard. I know he was in good shape. I'm not even going to bring up the altitude thing again, because I'm sure you know where I could go with this, but the guy was so exhausted and exasperated, hands on his knees. And the next thing you know, he'd pop up and he'd say, F you, you chuck a big overhand left. It won back the hearts of a lot of fans, and I'm glad, because in these moments where fighters are starting to close out their careers as a competitor, you're not always going to be able to ride out on a win. That can be very hard. That's a hard thing to chase, to want to end on a win and end on your terms. But just that moment right there in the third round, when Luke stands up, says F you, chucks the overhand left, even though Luke didn't get the win, that's what we're going to remember him for. His last performance was such a display of heart and courage. Like, there's questions in the broadcast about if they're even going to let him go out for that third round. And he got up off that stool and he went out there and he went out like a warrior. And for a freaking polo model, the guy's a dog. You know, he's got that dog in him. And you got to read between the lines when it comes to Luke Rockhold's career, outside of the accolades he's achieved in being Strikeforce middleweight champ, being UFC middleweight champ. The guy overcame tremendous adversity. He almost lost his leg. He's almost had his leg amputated. I mean, this guy is so tough. And there's more to Luke Rockhold than the antics. The guy's a hell of a fighter, and he's got a ton of heart. And I think that I'm so glad to see that even though he didn't get a ride out on that win, if this was his last fight, I'm glad he got to have those moments that won the fans back, to where everybody's on their feet applauding the guy and giving him the appreciation that he deserves.
Yeah, man, that's all I kept saying. I was like, this is awesome. You know, these fights define who you are as a person. He could have easily just, like you said, you know, found his way out of that fight easily. There's a couple shots Paulo landed that if he had just maybe gone down, covered up a little too long, they would have stepped in and stopped the fight. But he would put his hands on his hips, get a little bit of oxygen in those lungs, and just kept on going. And I mean, and you know, and we got to talk about Paulo Costa too, who also brought it, man, who was also getting hit with some massive shots and just kept chucking forward. We saw that Paulo Costa that we know is out there. He's just maniac that goes forward and throws bombs and big kicks, and showed off his grappling as well in some of those exchanges, right? A lot of people, I think we talked about it too in the lead up, that if there was a real chance for Luke, it was going to be dominating on the ground and using jiu-jitsu and things like that. But man, I think we sleep on the grappling ability of Paulo Costa sometimes. The dude is a savage. I think he's a black belt as well. And it was just a fun fight. I mean, what a way, if you're going to come back out of retirement for one more, like Luke did, that's the way to do it, baby. Because you said, Mike,
that was vintage, and that was vintage Costa too. The Costa that we all grew so fond of, the Terminator, the guy that will just walk on a straight line. You can hit him with everything plus the kitchen sink, or however the saying goes, you can literally, you could hit the guy over the head with the hammer and he's just going to shrug it off and keep coming. And I mean, Luke hit him with big shots. I think in the second round, Luke hit him with like 4 liver kicks in a row, and Costa is just like, come on, give me another. It's like a scene out of Bloodsport. Remember Bloodsport when Jean-Claude Van Damme's kicking the dude in the body? And the dude's like, come on. Yeah, and it was the Bloodsport fight. I mean, it was a bloodbath. Wow. Look at the antics at the end. I'm like, God, he's a maniac. He is an absolute maniac. They both are. Both of those guys, if they sat down with like a psychiatrist or something, they probably both are equally as insane in their own right. And that's what made that fight so special, dude. And congrats to both guys. Now Luke gets to ride off in the sunset on some good moments, good things to lean back on.
And what about Costa?
And now Costa kind of inserts himself kind of back into the talks of maybe contending for a title. Luke, you got to acknowledge the accolades, the talent, the challenge that he put Costa through. It was 30-27 across the board, but I mean, he definitely had to overcome some adversity himself in that fight. So it definitely keeps the division interesting, and it keeps him moving forward.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the rankings right now, Ricci. But like who are some good matchups right now off the top of our heads?
Whitaker can get past Vettori if they're fighting in Paris, correct?
Yeah.
So if Whitaker can get past Vettori, I think that's a fight that makes sense. Especially for Whitaker as a guy that's kind of beaten, he's in a position to almost start lapping guys in the division too. If he can, Alex Pereira's right above him as well. So if he, if Pereira comes up short to Izzy, then you just
we talked so much about the bantamweights, right? And we'll touch on that a little later too, the bantamweight fight that happened. But one of the mentions was, I think we mentioned that middleweights for a while were kind of having this. Well, that fight kind of put middleweights right back on the podium there, especially with the title fight coming up in the near future, having some new blood fighting for that belt against Adesanya. Paulo back on the win here. We got a big middleweight fight coming up in Paris. The middleweight division is back in action. Not that it went away, but now things could get real interesting, especially if Paulo can stay on form, right? His real issue was he's just kind of fed up and sick of doing all the stuff, but having all the attention, getting the praise from the boss. Dana had every right to be a little pissed off at both of these guys throughout the fight. Obviously Luke's speaking his mind, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can talk about fighter pay. You can have an opinion on all those matters. The boss isn't going to matter as much when you show up and you put on shows like that. Same with Costa. You had some issues with the scale. You pissed everybody off, but you figured your stuff out. You came back out in the next fight. You made weight. You looked like a Greek god out there.
Yeah.
And then you put on a show like that, then, that all gets washed under. It's how you handle those adversities. How you're going to have ups and downs in your career. And Paulo Costa really came out on top in this one. And now I've always been a fan, but now I'm super excited to see what happens next with him.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that he's kind of got his ducks in a row again, with the weight and just kind of the antics, just everything with the Adesanya fight and, the wine and not being able to sleep. And then the missed weight I would say missed weight with Vettori, the weight debacle with Vettori.
The weight change.
The weight change. Yeah. Paulo Costa's, he's in Paulo Costa's own weight class. It's good to see him get back true to form. And, there's a lot of good fights on the card. It was a great card altogether from the opening fight to the main event. Paul, is there another fight that stood out to you on the card?
Well, I think we have to talk about Merab Dvalishvili and the great Jose Aldo. Now, it wasn't a Luke Rockhold, Paulo Costa. It wasn't Leon and Kamaru Usman, but it was a huge win for Merab. And when Merab needs to get exciting in matchups, I think we will see that. But in this fight, he did what he had to do, and he went out there and he controlled Jose and landed his significant strikes in the clinch, in the dirty boxing, against the fence. Jose had some good moments on the feet, but man, he just got overwhelmed with the pressure that the machine is. And we knew that's how he was going to have to fight this fight, right? For anybody that's going to naysay him, it's like, look, what do you expect him to do? When you're standing at distance with Jose Aldo for too long, we talked about it before the show started, you're going to put yourself in a hell of a lot of danger. So what do? You close that distance. Could he get the takedowns as much as he wanted? No. And not hold him there as much. But Jose is known for his takedown defense. So that's a fight I think we at least we got to mention, and we got to give some shine to Merab for still climbing the ranks in this absolutely stacked bantamweight division. So I'd be curious to see what happens next for both of these guys, Michael.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's
and what about
the
you?
most exciting fight, but yeah, like we talked about, like if you're going to stand at range with Jose Aldo, you better be able to challenge him in the striking and possibly beat him there. Like we've seen Peter Yan have success, we've seen other guys have success striking with Jose Aldo, but for Merab, that's not your bread and butter.
No,
but the fight that I want to highlight, I want to talk about the curtain jerker. I want to talk about the opening fight on the whole card. I want to talk about my guy Victor Altamirano. He took out Daniel Silva with the beautiful knee to the body with some good ground and pound. He's getting hit with some hard shots. I worked some of Victor Altamirano's fights for LFA, and he's a very interesting character. He can play the cello. He's bilingual. He's this quirky, quiet guy, but he's a hell of a fighter. And he gets out there, gets himself in some serious trouble. He gets hit with some hard punches. He gets dropped. He comes back to life, and he lands this beautiful knee and gets some follow-up ground and pound. And to see him have his moment in a live arena and have the microphone, you could tell that he was really living in that moment. It's something that I had heard him talk about a lot in these fighter meetings, is wanting to fight in the UFC and fight in the center of these big arenas and put on the show for the fans. And he did all that and then some. So it was a great curtain jerker, and it's good to see a guy like Victor Altamirano have his moment inside the octagon, opening up for a stacked pay-per-view card. So good on Vic. That's my boy.
I'm a fan. Thank you, Ashling. Sorry, Ashling is showing me her beautiful drawings that she has made. Thank you, babe. But I that kid is funny, man. I agree. Here, give me some of your pictures. Bring your pictures over. He did a great job. He's funny. I've interviewed him for Contender Series and things like that as well. And the cello, I remember talking to him at lengths about that, and he's not quite where he would like to be. His professor is still. Well, she drew some fruit for us guys. We got some fruit, some labels on them. Okay. If you're cutting weight, don't look at this one, Michael, because it looks refreshing as heck.
Oh, that looks nice. Is that a Shirley Temple? That'd be my guess.
For you artsy people out there that like your art a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Richie, you might be able to help me out. What's the word?
Abstract.
A little contemporary art, abstract art.
Yeah, that's art. Nice.
If you don't like pink purple, then we do have options for you guys. Like These will be on sale on our website. Team Irish Dragon Babies for sale. We're also selling dog scarves. What's the dog scarf?
It's a dog bandana.
Well, yeah, but what's the site called? What do we call them? Snoot something?
It's Little Snoot Shop.
Little Snoot Shop. Well, coming your way soon.
I'll be paying attention. I'll get some for my pooches.
Now we're going to talk. Now we're going to talk a blood sport here. Anyway, fighting. Let's bring up fan questions. Oh, and shout out to Tyson Pedro for putting it together again too. That's another one we got to mention. You know, the guy had a really long layoff, came back, and twice in a row now has looked fantastic. Really seems to be finding his stride back in the UFC. So congrats, Tyson Pedro. Good on you, bud.
Yeah.
Let's get some questions up here. I think we got some good ones this way. Honestly, maybe Luke Rockhold should only write a book. Now, let's talk about this book, Michael, because it would be epic and awesome. And who would need to lawyer up if Luke did write a tell-all? I mean, there's a lot of people that would be like, "Oh God, what is Luke going to talk about in this book?" I can only imagine.
Well, you know, Dave Martin, his manager, actually, I'm pretty sure he was. I could be totally wrong, but somewhere along the lines, his manager, Dave Martin, was part of like the team. I don't want to say. I don't think it was for O.J. Simpson because that was long ago. I think it was for something with someone that played for the Vikings. So I think Dave Martin, his manager. I think he could be the guy to lawyer up and make sure people were protected within the story. The story
to make up fake names.
Rockhold.
Make up fake names.
Yeah, make up fake names, especially if you're going to throw me in there.
I think you need to write a book, and I think it needs to be turned into a movie. And I think we got to get his name out there. I think Conor McGregor would love to play the role now. He's an actor now, so I mean, he'd get in there anytime. So. Who's that? John Hamm, yeah. I'll get John Hamm in there. Yeah, that'd be epic, bro.
That'd be great. I love it.
And you have an excuse to get in ridiculous shape for that one. So, John Hamm, if you need a trainer, buddy, I'm ready to help out, man.
There you go.
Help out.
I like it.
That's a good one. Yes, that book. Speaking of, Joe, we love you, but I must have said it 100 times during the fights. I was sitting there drinking a beer with Christine, and I'm like, "What is Joe doing?" Like. I almost feel like he purposely goes and puts this suit on just to be ridiculous. Like, Joe, it looks like somebody tied your tie 10 years ago, and you just don't want to have to figure it out again. So
no, just like slide it on and then slide it on and off.
You didn't even button the buttons.
Oh my gosh.
Only Joe can pull it off, though. And what are we gonna do? I love it. I mean, I want to hear
Joe. Tell Joe what to wear.
Reaction.
Joe can show up in Spankies and a t-shirt, and it's like, oh, yeah, Joe's gonna wear what Joe wants to wear, and it doesn't look comfortable. Like, I'm like, no. Joe looks most comfortable when he's got his nice satin black shirt on with a couple buttons down. You know, he can looking jacked.
I miss it. I want Joe to go back to all black.
Yeah,
all black pants, black shirt.
And he sweats too. He kind of runs warm, so it's like you run the risk of wearing white. You know, Paul, you pit out a lot easier. You know, and in these crazy fights when you're octagon side calling them and you're jumping out of your chair and having these great reactions. I mean, I know how I perspirate. I would sweat through that thing by the time we got to the ABC portion of the prelims.
It does get hot down there. They're always touching up our makeup down there. It's warm. I attended the ABC conference and enrolled in MMA judge and ref courses as media this past week, as did other media colleagues. Dean Thomas took the judging course too. Would you or Mike take these courses? Is there free snacks involved?
Or sandwiches?
Sandwiches, because if there's sandwiches in the mix, especially in like little triangles. If there's like, when you go to like some of the airports, if you ever get some of the VIP access to some of these like international airport lounges, they have little finger sandwiches in England.
With a little toothpick in the middle to keep it together.
I must eat like 15 sandwiches. Some of the places you pour your own pints too, bro. Some of these lounges,
they're top notch.
US, step up your game. So I would take that course if there was free coffee and free sandwiches. That's about the only way you're getting me to sit through any more conferences in my life.
Yeah, see, and I haven't done it yet, and I'd be open to it. I know Laura Sanko took the course. She did it for the state of Missouri. And I'd like to be a part of those meetings just to kind of have an understanding of how they see things from their perspective. Because I know where I look at it as an analyst. I know how I look at it as a competitor. And I've never really put myself in those shoes of being a ref or a judge. Yeah. I've reffed fights in the past, amateur fights, but not at a high level. So it's one of those things where, I'd be very open to taking something like that. And if I'm with you, Paul, and there's sandwiches and snacks, then
I'm with a buddy, and there's sandwiches, I don't see how I could say no. I'm getting knowledge and nourishment.
That's what it's all about, baby.
That's what I want a t-shirt. Knowledge, nourishment.
We're on to something. We're on to something.
That'll be our roundup t-shirt. Knowledge, nourishment, sandwiches, and fights.
There we go.
Oh, here's our house cat who watches MMA, our favorite Twitter contributor. First of all, love the show. Thank you, house cat who watches MMA. My question is this. When you both were starting your careers, pre-Tough for Mike, pre-CFFC for myself, did you ever see an undeserving or just a jerk fighter get their UFC shot and have this reaction of monetary justifiable jealousy? Thanks. Michael, I think you mentioned you might have had something like that. I'm still scratching my head trying to think if there was somebody that really got it ahead of me that I was like, come on, man.
I had a teammate, and I don't want to name names because that would just be a jerk move, but I had a teammate who obviously, I support my teammates. I'm happy for everybody to have their successes, but he got his crack getting in the UFC, and I saw the things he would do outside of preparation, just the things that I wouldn't do if I was in training camp. If I was in the UFC, that I wouldn't be doing the things that he's doing. I would be doing things a different way. So it's not like it was like a jealousy because I was happy for him, but I was definitely like, oh, you're finally there and you're this, like, what the heck is going on? I don't want to name the guy's name because that would just be a jerk move on my behalf. But I wouldn't say it was jealousy, but it was definitely like, God, you're where I want to be. And you're doing it not the way that I would have done it myself. But fortunately for me, I got my opportunity and I started doing things the way that I envisioned, and it's panned out for me. Not so much for him.
I got my shot. I mean, pretty early on in my career. I was 8-0 when I got signed. So, and I didn't have to do the Ultimate Fighter. I didn't have to do any reality shows or Contender at the time. So I can't really complain. There's definitely been fighters who got shots at fights I wanted ahead of me and got like ranked opponents that I felt I deserved. There was plenty of that throughout my career where I got legit jealous at like, why am I not getting those opportunities? But that's the kind of stuff, if you sit around and just cry about it, nothing gets done anyway.
You had your moment. You got to win over the lightweight champion, Paul. So I'd say you've had some good.
Got it in.
got it. 2 for 2.
Thank God. It was getting close. I mean, we're nearing the end of our show here.
Sneak it in there.
All right, house cat who watches MMA. I know this is early, which is actually perfect that you got these questions in at the time you did. But I have to ask, what sandwich was so delicious that you or myself went full round 3 Rockhold and buried your face in that sandwich sauce like Luke did to Costa? Thank you, and congrats to Felder fam. Thank you so much, house cat who watches MMA. Michael, I'll let you go first. What are some sandwiches or a recent sandwich where you just, you wanted to do nasty, dirty things to that sandwich?
I am a glutton. I love eating. So if I get a taste of something that I haven't had, I want it again. So this actually happened recently when I did Long Island. I did UFC Long Island. And if you're in Long Island, you got to get a breakfast bagel. You got to get bacon, egg, and cheese. So I'm ordering Uber Eats in the morning. So I order bacon, egg, and cheese bagel. And I'm like, I know it's going to be good. So I'll get a second one. I got this cinnamon raisin bagel with had walnuts and this fruitier cream cheese spread, and I smashed them both. And like when you get a bagel with just cream cheese in New York, it's not like a spread. It's like,
oh no, it's
hilarious. So this is before I'm going on set to do the pre-show, and I'm going like bite for bite. Like I tested the bacon, egg, and cheese. I was like, oh, this is good. And I took a bite of the other one. Oh, this is good. And I just started going back and forth, and I blacked out. Next thing I know, I ate all this food and I was like stuffed to the max. I'm like showing up on set like, oh, my stomach hurts so bad. Like I ate too much food. But, dude, bagels on Long Island, the bacon, egg, and cheese, and whatever that cinnamon raisin one with the walnuts.
Oh, a little sweetness.
It was real nice.
I'm trying to think of what recently I've had where I've like lost my damn mind. For me, it's usually I went full rock. Yeah, don't ever go full Rockhold.
No.
That's good life advice in general. Never go full.
Don't go round 3 Rockhold.
No, go. Yeah, there you go. Never go round 3 Rockhold.
No.
There's some cheeseburgers in Philly though that have like these spicy mayo sauces on them. Man, they cook them medium rare perfectly through, and I would go full round 3 Rockhold on some of those burgers right now. I can tell you that.
Full round 3 Rockhold on the sushi I got on deck for me right now.
Oh, shout out to Zama in Philly and my boy Brian Cowden, who always gets the hook up for me there. Christine obviously has been pregnant for the last 9 months and was craving sushi desperately the other day. So I drove down to the city and picked it up. Dude, it's just, there's this one roll, the wasabi tuna roll, and it is
good. See,
I know it's not a sandwich house cat, but I want to punch it. I like it. Ever have something that's so good? I'm like, I need to put my elbow through this sandwich's face.
Elbows to that sandwich to dice it up. I'm getting mine from Avocado Roll, which is the newer spot in Spokane. They got this roll called the Little River, and it's real nice.
Making me want a sandwich. We're having steak and gratin potatoes tonight, but
it's nice.
Maybe I'll make it into a sandwich.
There we go. Roll it up in 2 slices of bread. There you go. Call it the Felder.
All right, guys. We'll be back before UFC 279.
Chimaev and Diaz. And then you're going to be in Paris for Cyril Gane and Tai Tuivasa.
I will be in Paris calling those fights. So, yeah, we got a lot coming up. Tune in. And please keep posting your questions, guys, whether it be sandwich related, fight related, or if you just have inquiries about how to not go round 3 Rockhold. Me and Michael are here to give you advice and help you out. Michael, thanks for joining me as always.
Peace
out, been a pleasure.
Richie, see you later, brother. Paul, see you on the flip side.